Right, everyone, we should be about ready for this next run. What's up, d4gr0n?
I'm doing good. I am functioning off basically no sleep despite the fact I tried to sleep.
Oh dear.
But I will be fine. I will be fine.
And this seems like a pretty special run you're about to do. This is torch percent, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no dagger. No dagger, just torch. Unless I accidentally pick up a different weapon, then we're gonna have a bit of an exciting run on our hands.
So, basically, this is just going to be a challenge run then.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I do lose the torch, I'll, try to roll with, not dagger. I'll try to not use the cheesy weapon.
That's fair enough. Either way, just let me know whenever you're entirely ready to go, and then we'll both mute here in Discord, and then I'll go over to your stream and pull up the stream audio, and I'll take everything from there.
Oh, okay.
So just give me a countdown on stream when you're ready.
Okay. Alright. So... Just have to make sure that everything is good. Okay. So, yeah. So here's how we're going to do things. Since I've started with the torch, I'm a little ways into the level already. I'm going to actually intentionally die, and then we're going to actually start the run right when I press the A button on the map. I will give a countdown when that is. So, without further ado, I'm going to just take that death now, and we'll get this run going. Alright, so 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so in this game, well, by the way, great race, by the way, and wow. Alright, so I accidentally forgot that I'm playing this like I was just starting a new run. We'll try and get back the torch. It's okay, we will make this run work. That was a bad mistake. So, yeah, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. In this game, you control Arthur, and you have about 8 different weapons you can use. I said this would be a torch run, but I guess we'll make this the start with a crossbow. Like I said, we will try and make do and reclaim the torch. In fact, what we could do is we could try to farm for a weapon. I know that we can't get the torch in the... Yeah, you know what? So the first actual chest we can actually spawn will give us a weapon if we do have the steel armor. So let's see what we can get out of this. Okay, that's not what we want. We're gonna keep doing this until we get a torch back. Don't worry. This was bound to happen, I assure you. So there's a chance of a dagger or a torch dropping out of this. There we go. Okay, we're fine. Back to an actual torch run. So, yeah, the thing with the torch, it's a really strong weapon, but it's also got really poor range. Just gonna grab that. And, yeah, the other thing with this game is that there is armors, and there's three levels to the armor. You saw the basic steel armor. There is also the bronze armor, which I currently have. This upgrades my weapon damage. And then there's the gold armor, which not only maintains the weapon damage, but also gives us access to magic, which we can charge by holding the attack button. So, bit of a hiccup to start, but surprisingly, it only costed me about a minute to get all set back up here. And hopefully that is the only time we accidentally pick up a weapon. But yeah, level 1 is probably one of the craziest levels in terms of luck. Like, the spawns can do all sorts of different things, and you're usually not going to be prepared for what the game will throw at you. In contrast, though, Stage 2 is actually quite a bit more lax, and that's primarily because of what's coming up right here. Alright, so now for the next 3.5 minutes, we're going to be in this long auto-scroller and hopefully not die, because if we do die at any point, we will be sent back to the beginning of the auto-scroller. It's a pretty big time loss to die in this part, but it's, you know, with Torch, it's actually surprisingly not that difficult. Just because the trajectory actually makes it pretty easy to dodge most hazards. Actually, the bigger threat is accidentally grabbing a weapon that you don't actually want, like what's kind of hanging there. So we're going to grab that. So, fun little fact with the chests. They're actually not random, for the most part. What actually drops out of them is actually scripted. The only thing that isn't scripted is when a weapon actually drops. So, there's a percentage chance of a certain weapon dropping. I think in this particular level, and it also depends on what weapon you're actually holding on to at the time. So right now I actually hold the torch, and that means every weapon has a 25% chance, except for the only other good weapon in the game, which is a 12.5% chance. And no, I did not find out about that myself. That was literally the hard work of the Super Ghouls and Ghosts community. They're the ones that found all the information on the statistics of weapon percentage drops. But yeah, aside from the weapons, everything is all scripted, and that includes the armors. And what determines what you get out of the chest depends on the order you spawn the chest and what armor you are wearing when you open said order of a chest. So right now I'm spawning a chest right over here, and I'm gonna spawn this one right here. This should give me the bronze armor. Now, I'm gonna kill that guy because he can kind of troll me with some projectiles, and now this one here will give me gold armor. So yeah, chests actually spawn based on touching, you know, a certain trigger in the stage. Like, there's certain spots in the stage that will cause the chest to spawn, and that's... And, knowing that, and knowing the order, or knowing how to manipulate the chest to spawn in a certain order is what is pretty key to actually getting properly equipped and getting the correct armor to end each stage with. So it's pretty key when learning the speedrun. So right now I do have gold armor. I'm not actually going to utilize the magic here because we don't actually need it for this fight. This is also another important... This is a very important fight because if you die on this particular fight, you're going to... Well, you're going to be sent back to the beginning of the auto-scroll, and we don't want that. But with Torch, it's a fairly easy fight. Sometimes the boss can troll you a little bit, though. Okay. Now, the drawback... There's actually a drawback, though, to the gold armor, and that's when you grab it, you get the shield. And the shield is surprisingly one of those things that lags the game. You wouldn't think so, but it actually acts like an extra enemy sprite on screen. Okay, that's... that was a good pattern, but I'm usually never good at making that call. So, Stage 5 is... Or Stage 3 is when, you know, the game really starts to get pretty scary. The torch actually has an easier time dealing with these imps that are coming from the lava, but the bears here, oh my goodness. The bears are actually a lot bigger of a problem for the torch. I'm actually having to take this pretty safe. And yes, the imps can sometimes really be mean and try to charge at you, but that's only if they are actually aligned with you directly above or below. That bear is not really a big deal. You got a lot of time to react to him. Now, let's see. I might actually go for this jump. Okay, nice. We actually got it. That's actually a pretty risky jump, but, well, pretty much if you're going for a top time in this game, you kind of have to learn how to do that. Alright, and here is the Aramers. If you've ever played this game, you know about the Aramers. They're pesky, they try to chase you down, maybe throw some projectiles at you, kind of keep you on your toes. But as long as you keep moving, he's not really going to have time to actually do anything. Sometimes he might react fast enough to, you know, hit you with something, but it's pretty rare. So at this point, he's not really a threat, but the bats are kind of a threat. They can do all sorts of different patterns, and, well, we got some gargoyle statues here we need to destroy as well, and sometimes they will come at you from impossible angles, and I find that happens more often with the dagger than it does with the torch. And also some of them can drop a weapon too, like you just saw back there. Alright, so, yeah, these enemies... Yeah, these goblins are probably the biggest reason I kind of get scared doing this level with dagger. And particularly this tower right here. We're going to be descending, and their spawns are going to get higher and higher. And it will get to a point where you will not be able to anticipate where they spawn and react fast enough in preventing taking a hit and possibly accidentally falling into the abyss. But we made it through just fine. Yep. So, yeah, this boss fight, not really a big deal. There's actually a pretty nice quick kill setup with him, with the dagger, but it's also pretty risky. You can get hit right into the abyss from that setup as well, if you make the wrong call. Usually happens, though, if you hold on to the shield, because for whatever reason, when that boss actually spawns, when that boss spawns is determined by lag, and the shield actually affects that. Like, having the shield still at this point is affected by that. Okay, that looked pretty scary, but it's pretty consistent. Also, yes, because this is a Super Nintendo game, it's gotta lag horribly hard. But usually the best thing to do in that situation is just to kind of press on. There's not really much the torch weapon can actually do to reduce lag if you are faced with lag. And that's really because its limited range really kind of limits its options of how to deal with a lot of enemies. Like, a lot of threats usually come from far enough away. And that's kind of why the best weapon in the game is the dagger. It's a long-range weapon, and you can fire it you can fire it 3 at a time. And best of all, you can even store an extra one. It's like its boosted its boosted version also does a lot of damage as well. But yeah, that's why runs are traditionally done with the dagger, and its magic is horribly overpowered. But the torch manages to do the job just fine because its trajectory actually gives you the ability and flexibility to deal with threats directly above and below you, and that's kind of something the dagger can struggle with sometimes. So yeah, I gotta get rid of these imps. Like I say, you stay aligned with them, like in any orthogonal place. You're gonna get charged at by them, or by them. All right, so here's a really laggy fight. Let's see if we want to try to hold on to this gold armor. All right, we got rid of the green head. All right, nice. Take a bit of the extra lag there. Okay, so time for everyone's favorite track. Also, this stage is awesome, and I'm about to show you why. So, hopefully I don't die right away, but what happened here... Okay, good. So, I just glitched Arthur. He's now completely invincible, and that was done because I activated the magic and took a hit on the exact same frame, and apparently this triggers complete invincibility for the entirety of the stage. And it will allow us to skip the... It'll allow us to go through all the hazards and everything and not really slow us down at all. And this is typically the standard strat, especially in Loop 1 with the torch. It's arguably not faster to do it in Loop 2. But that's, yeah, that's kind of because you can get Goddess Bracelet in Loop 2. And it's actually more preferable to get Goddess Bracelet in that loop. But if you do want to know how I actually managed to pull that off, like, even though it's a frame-perfect trick, you can actually get into the Spike's hitbox, because that corner I was standing at was actually really, really glitchy. And because it was really glitchy, you can actually... Well, okay, so, because you can actually... Well, because that corner is glitchy, you can actually stand inside the Spike's hitbox. I don't really know why it works, but it just works that way. But you kind of will sink into the ground a little bit, and that's kind of how you know you're actually in the glitched part of that slope. Right, but since we've passed the level, we no longer have that invincibility, and that's kind of scary, because now comes the levels that absolutely massacre most of my torch runs. Alright, so I think I'm probably going to die, because this is probably... I'd rather probably do that than deal with the rest of the stage. There are 3 armors in this level, and with basic armor and basic torch, that's not a good combination. I'm going to actually try to bait out the armor this time. Probably was the smarter play. Uh-oh. Okay. And that's what I was trying to do from the start. So, yeah, there's a 3rd armor that's supposed to spawn right where I was jumping at over there, but there are only 2 armors can actually spawn at a time. So by having them already spawn, the 3rd one won't spawn. Now, this fight really, really sucks. Like, it's really easy with the dagger, but holy hell, it sucks with the torch. You have to actually make the correct calls and make the right reads on this guy. And, uh-oh. Okay. Alright. Okay. Whew. And considering I was naked, that's a pretty scary thing to actually do. Oh, we handled it. But that is the fastest way of doing that stage with the torch. You can kill him really fast with the gold armor, but again, you are risking potentially getting hit by one of the armors, getting to him. And, well, Astaroth can also screw you with a bad pattern with his flame breath, which we like to aptly call the crotch fire. I know, he should seek a doctor or something. Everyone literally makes that joke. Alright, so let's see. Get past the head? Okay, nice. Good. So we're going to try to reclaim our gold armor right here. I'm going to awaken the armor. And... yeah, perfect. So, yeah, the armors can be a little bit predictable if you kind of know exactly what they're going to do. After their first attack, they'll actually kind of do a dance and walk around for a little bit, and you can actually walk up with your with that little three round shield there that I activated with the magic. That's the torch magic, by the way. Each of the weapons has a unique sort of magic spell tied to it, and we're gonna see that magic again. But yeah, the armor you can actually deal a lot of damage to the... Okay. This can be a little scary. Oh my goodness. Okay, I was scared there for a second. Okay. So typically you should fight from the right side with this weapon, but it's a little bit risky. And unfortunately, I wasn't sure if my magic was going to charge in time for the Neburoth fight here. Thankfully, Neburoth is a lot more predictable, because his lasers always go the same direction, like straight forward, and the Flame Breath also goes the same direction. And there we go. That's loop 1. So, yeah, this whole scene here, we've made it to the end of the game, but, well, the princess is here to tell us that we kind of needed something in order to actually defeat the final boss. So we have to go back to level 1 and do it again. You know, it ain't a Super Ghouls and Ghosts run, or it ain't a Ghosts and Goblins run unless it's done in 2 loops. And take a key for coming in. So now that loop 1 is done, we move on to loop 2, and loop 2 has a number of differences that we have to account for. Stage 1, for the most part, it's kind of the same, although patterns are faster and spawns are also much less able to be controlled. I know that I said this level tends to be really random, but in Loop 1, you have somewhat of a control on how the enemies spawn, but in Loop 2, it's a lot more crazy. Like, it's kind of harder to actually control the enemies. So you kind of have to make do with what you get. It's why, and because of that inability to control the enemy spawns, this is actually arguably one of the scariest levels in the entire game. And particularly this section here can be really scary if I don't get through these skull towers as soon as possible. Okay, we got actually pretty generous patterns. Sometimes the skull towers are so fast that you just do not have time to react to any of it. But yeah, the rest of the level is actually fairly elementary. It's kind of the same thing as Loop 1. And now that we got upgraded Torch here, we're going to actually mow down this entire section. This section's actually really easy with the Torch. There we go. And oddly enough, since we don't have the shield, this armor lags no more so than the bronze armor does. So, there we go. Nice catch. So getting past level 1 is actually quite a relief. Loop 2 stage 1 is not to be trifled with. We like to, in the Super Ghouls and Ghosts community, we like to joke how a race run is invalid unless you really, really screw up stage 1 at some point, whether it's loop 1 or 2. So, yeah. We didn't so much in loop 2, but loop 1 was a disaster. Or loop 1 was a disaster. So I guess the run is valid. Stage 2, really the only difference with Loop 2 is the ghosts spawn at a far faster rate. And that's kind of important because the ghosts do cause quite a bit of lag in the first half. So the faster you get through the section, the better. So I guess since we have to sit through this long scroller again, I guess I'll take the time to explain all the other weapons that we have seen throughout this run so far. I mean, we've already talked about the torch. We've already talked about the dagger. We have I guess we've seen the crossbow in action. So there is that as well. So the other weapons. The other weapons include the axe, which is really bad unless it's basic. Like, the upgraded axe has a very, very bad hitbox detection. So oftentimes, oh yeah, there's the axe right there, as I was saying. Another weapon that's also pretty awful is the scythe, and while you have somewhat control by being able to arc it downward by holding down, it unfortunately takes some time to register all of its damage. So oftentimes you'll find yourself completely helpless against enemies as you're waiting to throw another scythe, and it's kind of restricted by only being able to throw one at a time of that type of weapon. It's kind of the reason why a lot of weapons are kind of bad in this game. There's the starting weapon as well, which is the lance. Lance is actually not too bad, although there's a bit of a trade-off upgrading that particular weapon as well. And that's the fact you can only fire one at a time when upgraded. Oh, okay. So, I guess... Oh, no. We're fine. We're fine. The next chest will give me my bronze armor. I kind of miscounted that. Just a little bit. There it is. So, like I said, we don't really need to worry about not having gold armor at the end of this stage. Bronze armor will do the job just fine, and it's fairly easy to be able to reclaim gold armor in Stage 3 without really losing much of any time, so... It pays off in the end. Okay, well, I was not ready with that fish. This is going to be an interesting situation now. Let's see. So, we're going to have to be relatively careful. Like I said, if I do die on this boss fight, I am starting this level again, or from the beginning of the auto-scroller, and we don't want that. We absolutely do not want that. Torch should be able to do the job, but if I get a weird pattern from the barnacle fight, we could have, we very likely are probably going to get hit if that happens. Whew. Alright. Oh my god. Scary patterns here. Okay, we got it. We did it. Yeah, better safe than sorry. That was, I'm actually kind of glad that raft saved me, because technically that should have killed me. Because I jumped straight up. Yeah, so that's another thing with this game. Your jumps are predetermined. Once you commit to a jump, there is no way to actually stop the jump from going that direction. So you kind of are at the mercy of whatever comes your way. You're kind of helpless to prevent taking a hit. Oh god, okay, yeah, so this is a little bit scary, but I think I should be able to handle it. Okay, good. Actually, it was well handled. Alright, so the rest of this should be fine. Yeah, good pattern by that bear. Yeah, and unfortunately, if anything hits the ceiling, that will get rid of my weapon, too. I'm not going to go for that jump again, by the way. I showed it off at least once. That's all I'm going to do. After my mistake in Stage 2, I'm a little antsy on what might happen in this stage. This stage can be a source of many, many lost runs. Oh my god. Get out of here, dude. Alright. Oh, yeah, so, like I mentioned in Loop 1, the armor can react fast enough if he does give an instant pattern. And you saw it right there. Even though I am trying my fastest to scroll the screen, sometimes it's not fast enough. Let's see. Yes, perfect. So that should... Oh, actually, wait a minute. I'm gonna see what comes out of this chest right over here. Get out of here. Okay, yeah. I forgot. I had to reclaim the green armor. So, I had a feeling that was gonna contain my gold armor. So, once again, that's kind of the important thing with that particular aspect of the run. Like, being able to know what peers out of any one of the chests is really, really important. Alright, so, Goblin Waterfall. Round 2. Let's see what happens here. Sometimes it will get me with the torch, even though it shouldn't happen. Like I said, the torch usually can cover things directly above me. But, yeah. Sometimes my reactions will be off. Oh, that weapon back there was the dagger, by the way. If you did miss it, though, we're probably not going to see it again. Alright, let's see if we... Alright, there we go. Not bad. So getting past Stage 3 is a relief. Stage 4 is... So I haven't actually really talked much about Stage 4, but it's a pretty trolly level at times. These blue genies in particular can spawn at a really bad time at certain points in this level. And depending on what they do, it can really throw you off. Thankfully, I was ready there. Oh my god. And I just... Okay. Whew. Playing a little bit of dodging here. You're fine, though. But yeah, you saw the blue genie spawn up in the ceiling there. That's a spawn that can also get you pretty easily if you're not ready for it. But we made it. So I've mentioned how many of the levels are quite a bit harder on Loop 2. Here's one section that is surprisingly not as hard on Loop 2. In fact, it's easier because of the fact that it's a little easier to predict, and these geysers last longer. So you have more time to actually get through that section there. That being said, though, the major thing with this section is the pink geysers here, they can last long enough to the point where you can't really escape it without, you know, abusing iframes and popping magic like so. And that's usually a sign that you got pretty badly screwed. Uh-oh. Yeah, usually if I miss an enemy, it's gonna likely lead to me getting hit, so that's not something I want to have happen. Alright, so round 2 with the Hydra. Oh! A little bit of a wonky pattern. Yeah, so those Hydra heads, you can actually do more damage to them. You can actually do more damage to them if you actually, if the heads actually group up together, like in the same spot. But sometimes usually that doesn't happen. Alright, so don't die. Please don't die. Alright, cool. So yeah, I'm doing this sort of as a safety strat. Once again, like I said before, it's actually faster to take gold armor through this level, and that's to get the Goddess Bracelet in this level. When you get Goddess Bracelet it's fine to get Goddess Bracelet whenever in the Torch run, but usually the only time it actually makes sense to do it is in Stage 5 or later. Just because the Goddess Bracelet, much like the Torch, is quite a situational weapon. Somehow the armor didn't spawn there. Also, the ghost stopped spawning, and that's actually really good luck, because that actually dropped quite a bit of lag out. So, once again, I'm kind of invincible here, but the avalanche here can still drag you off. And considering I'm invincible, that's going to lead me to being dropped off a ledge and into the abyss, which will kill me either way. Doesn't matter if I take a hit or not. Oh, come back here. Yeah, this boss is a little bit luck-based. He can do all sorts of different patterns. But it kind of is trivialized when you actually abuse the invincibility. Okay, so we had a relatively clean fight with Astaroth. That's usually not expected with the Torch. So let's see what round 2 has in store for us. Uh-oh. Man, that armor has been on his A-game. Oh, the instant. Okay. Oh, woo. Yeah. Oh, wow. These are some strong patterns. Nice. Well played, Astaroth. Yeah, so that's kind of what I expect to usually have happen on the Astaroth fight. It was designed to be a very hard counter for Torch, and, but unfortunately, we will have to try that again. And we're just gonna have to power through it however many times it's gonna take. Yo, the instant again. So I want to actually try to bait out the fire breath. Tends to be the bigger problem in this fight. The laser can get you, though. Like, you do have to respect the laser, especially with the Torch. Unfortunately, now Astaroth's sort of zoning me out here. It is kind of hard to approach him. Okay. All good. We managed. Whoops. So, now that we're past that awful fight, we now move on to Stage 7, and interestingly enough... Oh god. Get down here. So, Stage 7 is where we need to get the Goddess Bracelet. This is the last point we can get it. If we don't get it here... Oh my god, wow, that was close. Yeah, if we don't actually get it in this stage, you will be sent back to, I believe, Stage 6 to try and reclaim it, which is not a huge... Like, it's not a huge penalty, thankfully. But in order to get Goddess Bracelet, we need to be fully upgraded, so if I do take a hit here, yeah. If we do take a hit, it won't spawn. Like, you do need to have gold armor in order to actually... Oh, come on. Okay, well, kinda... Okay, gotta wait. Yeah, so, this is why the Torch sometimes has a bit of problems. So, best thing to do here is to just bait out the these energy balls. There we go. Sometimes you just gotta wait. It's kind of the problem with Torch in the latter half of this, in each of the loops. The position of some of the enemies can just completely screw you over if you try to get, you know, too aggressive with the Torch. It's a weapon where you really do have to be somewhat patient and just wait for your time, wait for your chance. But it's all good. We got the Goddess Bracelet, and that makes this fight obscenely easier. Like, it is horrendously easier of a fight. And that's probably why I don't struggle with this fight as much as other runners do. This fight tends to be considered, in any percent, the hardest fight in the game. Oops. Missed my throw. Oh, God. Yes. So we're going to play this ultra safe now. If we do die here, we will be sent back to the beginning of Stage 7, and that's a huge time loss, so we do not want that to happen. So we're gonna just take this however safe we need to. And unfortunately, Nebiroth tends to zone you out pretty hard. It's kind of the unfortunate thing with this fight. Okay. I probably could have approached them there and did some more damage, but... Wow, he's really zoning me out pretty hard. Yeah, so, I mean, it's... Generally speaking, it's a fight where you want to hold on to your armor as long as possible and take an intentional hit in order to get some extra little bit of damage and hopefully finish the job on Astaroth and Nebiroth. We got past it, though, which is good. And now we move on to a fairly easy fight in comparison to pretty much everything we've dealt with up to this point. But unfortunately, he's also very luck-dependent, and he gave me a bad pattern there. We want to make sure he gives us a pattern where he doesn't take too long to fire his lasers. Okay, we need one more pattern, and that's a slow pattern. We can't take that. Next one should do it. We'll see what he gives us. Nope, that's a slow pattern. Yeah, so unfortunately, if I do try to go for actual hits, I'm likely to get hit off the platforms and lose my armor, and that makes the fight extra risky. Anyway, that's pretty much it. And that is time. Alright, so 40-41. That's actually really good for a torch run. My PB with this weapon actually is 39-11. So, yeah, only exactly an hour, a minute and a half slower. So, fairly clean run. Thank you for the GG's inputs and 8.
Yeah, GG. That's
Thank you.
Like a really cool run.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I guess up next is Ninputs. Awesome.
Yes,
Well, good luck to him. I have to mentally prepare myself because good luck to him. What a lot of people here probably don't know is that there is currently a tournament going on with this game, and a few races have already happened. So my race is coming up in about an hour from now. So I have to mentally prepare myself and hopefully not make a complete embarrassment of myself, especially after this run. Mm-hmm. And keep donating, everyone. Let's help Supersonic get there to ESA.